When people tell me why they're tired at the end of the night and it's hard to get dinner on the table, it's often a similar story in one of three categories. You ran out, you tapped out, and you fell out. What does that mean? You ran out of time to pull off the meal that you had planned or thought you were going to cook that day. Maybe your day got busier, you got home later, or, life got in the way. Your raccoon got into your trash can and you had to spend time cleaning it up. So you ran out of time to cook dinner and get it on the table. You tapped out of energy. You have none. You had a day where you got pulled into 3 meetings, or your toddler was having a tantrum, or you just didn't feel up to it. By the end of the day, you're exhausted and you thought you were going to cook zucchini pasta carbonara and you just can't pull it off. You ran out of energy. It's not going to happen. Number 3 is you fell out. This one's really interesting. You fell out of the mood for the meal that you had planned to cook tonight. So these are different. They happen on different days, but they're all going to have a similar solution. So if you've seen my other video about having ABC meals, if you haven't, go watch that. But basically, if you have a list ready to go of your ABC meals, side note, in case you haven't watched it yet, always loved basic and convenient. These are meals that you can pull off at a moment's notice and they are convenient. So sometimes convenient does mean like something going in the Instant Pot and it might still take 90 minutes. This would be an okay meal on a day where you still have time, but maybe you've run out of energy. Or you fell out of love with the new dish. You thought you were going to make a salad and then you fell out of love with it and you're not in the mood for it anymore. So you could still make something that takes a long time. Or maybe your ABC meals is peanut butter and jelly with, frozen steamed vegetables or even a side of apple slices. Because maybe on that night you have run out of time and also you're tapped out of energy. So different combinations, basically like building blocks of, how you're feeling will deliver a solution. But coming back to those ABC meals, they are constantly a solution for any of these situations of needing to bail on your meal plan. So the important thing to note about ABC meals is that you need to write them down in advance. Because picture this, walk through this with me. You have a long day, you have drama at work, things didn't go the way they expected. On your way home, they're doing road construction and you can't get through, so you have to go around the other way. And then you get to your kids' preschool to pick them up and they, lost a shoe or whatever it is, and you have all these extra issues. By the time you come home, you are just like bombarded with life. We all know these days, right? Whatever your particular circumstances. And if you walk in your house and you've got kids going, what's for dinner? What's for dinner? I'm hungry. And they're having transitional issues, or maybe you're a stay-at-home mom or dad and your family's coming home, but your kids are still having transitional issues. And maybe the washing machine broke and, whatever issues you could be facing, right? I don't need to delineate these and hit that point home too far. I know you know what I'm talking about. In that moment, you're not creative. You can't be thinking of any new meals. You're not going to open your pantry and be like, oh, I know, I'm feeling like an Iron Chef today, and I'm going to whip up something delicious in 5 minutes. That's not going to happen. So you need to have a list, a written down list. This alleviates the emotions of deciding. It consolidates your total pool of choices. It's not, let me think of every possible food in the world and select the one that I'm going to cook while my brain is very stressed. It is, here's a list of 15 meals that I know I can execute and everyone in my family will eat. That's why it's really, really important to write this list down in advance. The other reason it's really important to write it down in advance is because when you go to the grocery store, you need to buy some of these ingredients so that you make sure you always have dried pasta. You always have red sauce in the fridge or in the pantry. You can always pull off these meals. That's why basic is a key component of it, and you have these things on your grocery list. So this is not about ABC meals. I want you to go back and watch the video about ABC meals if you need more information on those. But they come into play, and below this video, I'm going to link my fun flow chart basically at the top, it says, so you had a plan for dinner, but you want to bail on it. And it leads you through all these decisions. Why are you bailing on your meal plan tonight? Do you have enough time to order takeout? Because that number one could be an ABC meal, but it could also be a valid solution to needing to bail on your meal plan. But sometimes, and in some places, you can't just get dinner to your house in the next 15 minutes. So if you're short on time, you're going to need to eat something that's already in your house. Takeout is not going to be a good solution here. So it takes you through the list. You make, yes or no answers, and it will tell you what to cook instead or how to bail on your meal plan, but still have a plan. And then importantly, because I also want you not to be wasting time, energy, money, and no food waste as well. Let's say you were going to make zucchini pasta carbonara. So you bought the bacon and the pasta and the eggs and the zucchini, and you bought the basil and the Parmesan. You have all those ingredients sitting in your fridge. So how are you going to take that? And you've already decided, right? You've already selected that recipe. The effort and the time that you've already put into deciding this is something you will make this week. If you never make it, you end up wasting the time it took you to decide, the time it took you to go to the grocery store or order those ingredients online, the time it took you to put those ingredients away. And then also you're just going to be wasting that food and that money if you don't execute that dish. So if you're bailing on it Monday night because you ran out of energy to cook something new, how can you move this plan to another night? And then you have a double win, because not only are you saving those ingredients, you're salvaging tonight when you ran out of energy, but you're also starting to build a meal plan for another night. So let's say you bail on that Monday, but now you put it on your meal plan for Thursday. Guess what? Now you get to spend all day Thursday not worrying about dinner. When that 4 o'clock slump hits, you're not going to be wondering, hey, what's for dinner tonight? Because you've already decided. And that is the positive reinforcement, the baby step to getting hooked on planning your meals in advance, because you're deciding before you even wake up that day. So it is a whole day of freedom without even worrying about what's for dinner tonight. Doesn't that sound great, right? So the last part of this that I want to address is for all my grown-ups out there. This video is for grown-ups, so I assume it's you watching it. Let's think through the nights where you come home and say, I don't feel like eating what I've planned. What's really happening? Why don't you feel like eating what you've planned? Also, can you just eat it? So, tough love moment, maybe. Who cares? Like, you're not emotionally in the mood. You're not dying for this meal. It's not the best thing you've ever heard of in your life. Are there days when you can just say, who cares? I'm going to eat it anyway. Because if you've already planned it, you already have the ingredients, you thought you were going to make it. Can't you trade a little bit of eating disappointment for the ease of just following through on your plan? So certainly there are nights where, for whatever reason, I totally understand your emotions need to be front and center, and I'm not trying to take that away from anybody. Believe me, I've definitely been there too. But I suspect that a lot of the time you can just get over it and eat what you had planned, because in deciding to not make your emotional, eating preferences be top importance for the night, you are saving yourself time and stress, and you're just going with the plan that you already had. It's like you have a choice of either eating something you're not super excited about anymore, or having to think of a new dinner and execute on it under a time and stress crunch. Neither of these are great options, right? So what is the least bad choice? I suspect that more than half the time, maybe even 75% of 80 or 75 or 80% of the time, just eating what you had planned is going to be the better bad choice. And I saw somebody on TikTok who says she lives the little treat lifestyle, and I loved this. So I'm going to my local bakery to get myself a cup of coffee. I need a little treat. I'm going to get a croissant. I'm going out to, the grocery store. I'm going to pick up a little treat. So basically she was joking about how she believes in the little treat lifestyle. Every time she goes to do something, she gets a little treat. I've earned a little treat. I like this. I think it's cute. I thought it was funny, and it really applies here. So let's say, how can you use the little treat lifestyle to reward yourself for eating something that you're not like super thrilled about that day? So, okay, you're going to follow through on your zucchini pasta, which you're not really in the mood for, but whatever, it's on the list. You're going to just make it. How can you make that better? Is it more enticing to you if you have like a piece of bread and butter that goes with it? I'm highly motivated by bread and butter. Is it more delicious to you if you let yourself have a little bit of ice cream after dinner? Maybe you weren't sure if you were going to have it, and now you're going to get a little treat because you followed through on that. If you don't have anything in the moment that that is an appropriate little treat that can kind of perk up your emotions about just eating this meal that you had planned, how can you plan for tomorrow or the next day, sometime within the next like 2 or 3 days, to get yourself a little treat? Are you going to work and maybe you can tomorrow get your favorite lunch that is maybe further away or more expensive or not as healthy, or for whatever reason, maybe you weren't going to have that tomorrow? Can you bump tomorrow's meal 24 hours in advance, which makes it easier and less stressful, and get Thai food? Maybe you get your favorite takeout and then bump that meal a night out. So, or can you just, are you going to the grocery store soon, and can you pick something that you know you're going to be excited about making and put it on your meal plan for a day when you know you're going to be able to execute on it? So you're basically, you're not a toddler. Toddlers need immediate satisfaction, right? Like there's a whole thing about, what do you call it? Like, why can't I think of the word? The whole thing about teaching toddlers good behavior or giving them punishments, really. But it needs to be immediate because they can't wait. Instant gratification. If they get a prize, they need instant gratification because they won't remember tomorrow to connect the prize to today. You're not a toddler. You're a grown-up. So if you suffer through, eat the meal you're not super excited about on Wednesday, you can remember by Friday that you're getting this gratification for just doing the work on Wednesday and giving yourself an easier go and not having to create a new meal. So you can wait a few days for your little treat to support just eating the meal that you had planned now. So I really think most of the time, if you have something planned and you have all the ingredients, just go with it. It is the path of least resistance, and it is a much smaller problem to just eat what you had planned if you're not in the mood for eating something. Interestingly, that's one that I hear very often, but I think the other two are much harder to overcome. Running out of time and being tapped out of energy are harder to overcome because they are real, tangible crunches. Whereas just not being in the mood for the Cobb salad you thought you were going to make for dinner tonight, you can learn to get yourself through that. So check out the flow chart below and challenge me. I want to hear it. Do you disagree? Do you have other reasons that you bail on your meal plan or think it's not useful? Write them in the comments. Really, I'd love to hear it. I'll see you next time.